Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Bahasham, Barakahak Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson. And I'm going to start it off in 2nd Esdras chapter 15 in the Apocrypha, verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And this is future prophecy dealing with the times we are quickly coming into of Jacob's trouble. Whereas it says, a man shall have no pity upon their neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. And especially in America, the modern day sword is that gun. But people are going to be using whatever they can get their hands on that day. Literal swords, a bat, a knife, a crowbar, a chain, Molotov cocktails, imagination's the limit. And it says, because of the lack of bread, food shortages or famines out here, and for great tribulation, all the other calamities that are going to be taking place during Jacob's trouble. And hey, people are already getting in that mindset out here due to what? The deteriorating economic situation out here and that cost of living crisis where people are working multiple jobs to what? Barely pay their bills. And as we're about to see in this video from Large Man Abroad's YouTube channel, barely be able to pay for food out here. So when push comes to shove, people are going to be pushing. But the title of this video is 5-Finger Discount Returns. And that's not talking about the 3-finger combo from Raising Cane's. That's talking about theft out here. 5-Finger Discount Returns. People can't even afford food anymore, and they are furious. And as a Large Man Abroad's going to go into, people contemplating openly on social media about snatching stuff. Hey, he says it's going to go from these stores to just actually people robbing other people. And as we know from biblical prophecy, it's going to eventually get to home invasions where people are going to get slain with that sword out here. Their food's going to get taken, whatever they have left, other goods. And hey, if you got a pretty wife or daughter, and with these freaks, these moles out here, a son, hey, they're going to take it by force and not have any second thoughts about sending you to the upper room. But this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. And we're going to play about, the majority of this video. Before we get started, let's see what the top comment says by Graybeard25. Me and my brother said, if I need food, I'm going to just take it. Not from poor areas, but from those who voted for this situation. Alluding to those that voted, for Donald Trump. So he's pretty much saying, look, hey, if we need to eat, we're going to those who we perceive put us in this situation, whether we rob them on the street or whether we go to kicking those doors in. But let's play this clip.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. Let's get into it.
Just came back from the market. Ready to crash out. And this is $26. 26. Are y'all okay with this, or is it just me?
No. Increasingly less people are okay with it because no one can afford food anymore. Like, I feel for this man because this is just like the Bachelor special, right? Some tuna fish, some bread, some milk, a little bit of salad. I mean, this is a man trying to eat healthy. That's what this is. But being healthy is unaffordable now. At least you got to give him credit though, because when we watch these videos, usually it's just people buying incredibly processed, frozen food that they shouldn't be buying anyway. But as the sole provider for our home, right? The one who makes sure that there's food on the table. I am constantly aware in the increase of cost when it comes to food, when it comes to everything. Because every dollar that we spend, in my mind, is associated with an amount of time that I've put in, my labor, to have things paid for. That's why it's like, I don't like wasting money just so I can buy this trinket from Amazon. No, that's not something that I really enjoy doing. And like I said, I'm aware of these costs, but the entire country is getting like that. And cost of living in America has become such an insane thing that a lot of people are just going into debt getting food. And it's just frustrating. It's frustrating because you know it's not coming down. And you're like, how can I keep up with this? Because that's the real question. How can we possibly keep up with these costs?
And that's the point. You're not supposed to be able to keep up with it. The powers that be, that pull Trump's strings, want all these things to take place. They want to create the chaos to bring about the order, having everybody get that micro C-hip implant in them, using CBDCs in a cashless society, and ultimately living in those 15-minute cities eating the bugs. But regardless of that, that's another sign that we are in, the last days, really the last seconds. Things becoming increasingly unaffordable out here. This is Revelation chapter 6. I'm going to start at verse 5. And this is dealing with the four horsemen of the apocalypse, as they're called, which are just symbolic for things that would be taking place in the last days. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see, thou hurt not the oil and the wine." And when we go to that word penny in the Strongs, it's G1220, denarion, which in the outline of biblical usage says, a Roman silver coin in New Testament times. And America is Rome reincarnated. So your modern day denarion would be what? That US dollar. It took its name from it being equal to 10 asses. It was the principal silver coin of the Roman Empire. From the parable of the laborers in the vineyard, it would seem that a denarius was then the ordinary pay for a day's wages. And in the ancient world, and especially in our law, a man was paid the very same day he worked for his labors. It's not like today in this wicked society where, most people get paid every 2 weeks. So looking at it in modern terms, a measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny, damn near your entire paycheck to purchase a decreasing amount of goods, which we saw that in real time with that Jake. He spent $26 for a pack of buns, a few cans of tuna, some lettuce, and, I think it was some mayonnaise on there. Hey, and it's only going to get worse from here on out. You got a lot of people complaining that the big, beautiful bill, which, B lowercase looks like a 6. So what? BBB 666. A lot of people are complaining that the BBB is just going to, further add debt to the U.S., debt limit. And what's that going to lead to? More spending, more devaluation of, the dollar's purchasing power. So what? Things becoming that much more expensive out here. Again, it's all by design. But it's ultimately the design of Yahweh Bahashem Yahabushai to fulfill prophecy. And look where I stopped the video at, 144.
With Ashley's next-gen Nuvella Performance fabric, you can relax.
As they keep increasing, as things get more and more expensive. And it's getting to the point where people just can't afford food. I mean, at the end of the month, we've seen at the end of the month, if you have like a $40,000, $50,000 a year job with expenses and everything, if you're a single person at the end of the month, you have more than likely around $200. And that has nothing to do with groceries. That's just your bills, what it takes to kind of maintain everything in your life. Now, when we're talking about food though, I mean, what are you supposed to do? All you're supposed to do in your life is have food and sit at home in front of Netflix? Because that's what it feels like. But like I said, it's getting to the point where people can't even afford the food anymore. I mean, this is just, I think we all, collectively, I think we're all starting to understand that feeling of we're about to crash out. Because that's what it feels like. It's either we're about to crash out or people are going to stop buying stuff, but they're still going to be getting their products because one way or another people are going to eat. And you can make things as expensive as you want, but people are going to find a way.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but the high schoolers are out of school. The college kids are back. So if you're at the grocery store, they put them on the late shift and they be on their phones. You know what I'm saying? They be on their phones at the self-checkout.
You know, I wasn't always a clean-cut, honorable guy. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I was. Your boy's got a past, definitely. And Walmart used to be a big target of mine. Like I said, don't like Walmart. I don't know what it is. Since I was a kid, I've always just really disliked them. So yeah, when I wasn't as honorable a man as I am today, it was definitely a target for me and my friends. That's for sure. But I think it's going to become more common now. I mean, you already see places like Target that are doing away with a lot of the self-checkouts just because theft is running rampant. It's a consequence of things getting too expensive because there's things that people need and they're going to get them. They're going to get them. And the easiest, most painless crime is to just take them and walk out the store with them, and let the store's insurance deal with it. Because as things get worse, you're going to see that kind of targeting is going to go beyond retail and it's going to go person to person. That's why I say, like, one of the biggest things that
You heard what he just said, that targeting is eventually going to go from retail to person. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but spoil their houses due to the lack of bread.
we don't really talk about when it comes to the increase, the spike of cost of living, right? All these price hikes, the tariffs, inflation, aliens, whatever it is, it's just eventually, right? It's going to cause a big spike in crime. Like I said, and you can say it's out of necessity, and you can say all you want that, but you just got to follow the law, But the thing is, when the system has made it so you really can't just live a basic life without committing crime, and then, it just puts people in the position where they have to choose between being an honorable, law-abiding citizen or feeding their children. And people are going to feed their...
And that's going to be an easy choice for a majority of Americans out here who are already selfish and narcissistic demons. But hey, that's another part of biblical prophecy. People disregarding the law, disregarding the personal space of their neighbors, so to speak. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. And if you're reading it in the Bible, it's in red letters. So it's Yahawashi, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus speaking. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And that word iniquity in the Strongs is G458, anomia, which in the outline of biblical usage says the condition of without law, because ignorant of it, because of violating it, contempt and violation of law, iniquity, wickedness. And this is ultimately talking about this world being without the laws, statutes, and commandments of the scriptures, but it can also relate to people disregarding and violating the laws of their own societies, which is what Large Man Abroad pretty much said. When it comes between somebody's family, are themselves starving, and they're a law-abiding citizen that continues to get fucked, or they break the law, hey, that's going to be an easy choice for them. And what did the latter half say? The love of many shall wax cold. And I ain't even going to go into it, but if you go into that word cold in the Strongs, it's G5594, psycho. And a psychopath is somebody that's only concerned with numero uno.
Their children. So whether it's like government being inept or the government purposely trying to devalue the dollar and make things more expensive so we have less time to question things, less time to protest, less time to call for change, or if it's just corporate greed. I always say it's both. You know, listen, I hate the corporations. I'm a mom and pop store kind of guy. I think we need to go back to that. I think a rebirth of Main Street America is that. Because the dependency, nobody has little family farms. Farmers markets are an absolute joke. Farmers, that's not happening. What am I gonna do? Buy some cookies? I can make cookies. There's nothing about this is special. When you go to a farmer's market, it's more expensive. It's like 2 or 3 times the cost of getting your produce at Walmart. It's stupid. And it's always ran by some Karen or what, you know what? Maybe for another video. Farmers markets. Ugh. But no, like I said, there's a consequence to these things where people can't afford food anymore, and that time's going to come pretty soon, because as we all know, the cost of living has outpaced people's ability to actually earn. So I mean, what's next? Like I said, are people just not going to feed their kids? I would say, hey, you're having a hard time, maybe go get EBT, you know, maybe go get some food assistance, go to a food bank. But because of cuts to the USDA, none of the food that goes to the food banks are there anymore, so those are empty. Food assistance, EBT, food stamps, they're all getting cut. So it's like, well, what are people supposed to do?
Hey, people are supposed to go werewolf and go wild, as the Joker said. That's it with that clip. Right. Remember what he just said, you know, due to cuts, you know, the food banks and EBTs, a lot of those food banks, hey, they're getting empty. I'm gonna close it out in 2nd Esdras chapter 6 verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Places that have food and other goods, such as food banks. Hey, there's gonna come a time to where actual grocery stores and stuff like that are gonna have empty store shelves. We got a taste of that during 2019 to 2021 with the C-19. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. And what would be a major cause for that? Food shortages, the lack of bread out here, causing a man to have no pity upon his neighbor. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.